feel rusty. How am I gonna close this long ass video? I don't know. This is what happens when you don't make videos for a couple of weeks. You stall your roll. Welcome back, Awakening Beauties. I'm so happy to have you with me. My name is Robin, and this channel is the intersection of beauty, fashion, and spirituality. So if all that sounds good to you, then why not subscribe and give us a like if you ended up liking the video. I've been away for a while, and I've been on vacation, and then it was really hard to just get back into everyday life when I got back. And of course, you know how it is when you go on vacation, that everything waiting for you at home doesn't just stop coming. It piles up. So yes, between work and home life and just feeling the post-vacation blues, that's what I call it. It seems like every time I go on a really nice vacation, I come home and I just feel so depressed. It's counterintuitive. I mean, I did feel refreshed and happy and, had a great time. And I'll talk about my vacation a little bit later in this video. But yeah, so it's been a little hard to get back into making videos, but we are into June now, and man, I can't believe how fast this year is going. If you've been following my channel from the beginning, I'm doing a no-buy year. And so I'm not buying any new clothes, I'm not buying skincare or makeup unless I run out of a product that I have to replace. I'm not buying housewares. I'm not buying so many things. And I was so proud of myself on our vacation because typically when I go on vacation, I like to get something to remind me of that trip, but it really wasn't even in the back of my mind, in the front of my mind. It was nowhere in my mind that I was going to buy anything because I just didn't want to. And so that was a win for me. Typically, I like to collect pottery. So if I would have made it to a local potter, which I used to seek them out everywhere that we went, I would find a local pottery shop. What is a person that makes potteries called? I don't know, a potter, a ceramicist? Anyways, I mean, I have pottery from all over the world. I have pottery from France, I have pottery from Italy, from Egypt, from all the wonderful trips that we've taken many, many years ago. And I always buy things that I will use. So, I buy things that I actually do use in my everyday life. Even now, I still continue to use my pottery. But I did not seek out a pottery place, and goodness knows I have enough pottery. I have enough of everything. Probably have too much of everything. So no, I wasn't tempted to buy anything. And so I just wanted to give a check-in of how the first 6 months have gone. I wanted to give a check-in about how I'm feeling. And also I wanted to give an update on what I ended up using my Athleta reward points for. Now, if you didn't see that video, it's too late to vote. I closed the voting. And in fact, I didn't get that many votes on the actual video, but I created a community post on my community tab and made a poll. And so I got votes there, which was very helpful. And I used that to an extent, and I'll explain why. Anyways, I just want to start with how I'm feeling. Ever since coming back from my vacation, like I said, I've sort of been struggling with some, a little bit of depression. Not even depression, I would say, just a little blue. And that old feeling of wanting to shop came up. Now, Zoe, stop. I'm wondering if it was triggered from my searching on Athleta, Banana Republic, Gap, and Old Navy, how to use my reward points, because I had like $360 in reward points. So I was putting things in my cart. I was thinking, what do I really need? Like, what would be a nice fill and a gap in my wardrobe? And I don't know, maybe all of that contributed to the desire to shop. And of course, I follow a lot of channels. I follow a lot of beauty influencers, style influencers, and hearing that some of things in my wardrobe, especially shoe-wise, were out of style. Kind of got me a little upset. Didn't get me upset. I love shoes, and every summer I do try to buy 1 or 2 pair of sandals, and that's been my habit. That's been what I do, because your shoes get beat up. They get, they get beat up. They need to be replaced. And I realized, especially when we went on our vacation, that I don't have a lot of sandals. Most of my shoes, I would say, are for work. I have a lot of booties, which boots and booties I'm not going to be wearing until the fall. And, as far as sandal wise, my other sandals that I have, the ones that are out of style, they're beat up anyways. They really need to be probably tossed by this point. They're not in the best of condition. So those are like these strappy thong type sandals, and yeah, they might be out of style, but I will say that I've also noticed though that, and this is not an excuse for me to get rid of them and try to replace them with something else, but that style of shoe is uncomfortable for me. I have foot problems, and I find that whenever I do wear them, that my feet hurt more. And yeah, so they're not really, there's no support there, and they're not like the best for my feet anyways. But I'm not using that as an excuse, because I'm not going to buy any new sandals, even though I found some on Nordstrom that I would love to have. Yes, I was looking at Nordstrom. So that habit of going on to Nordstrom and looking through the shoes. And now I'm also going to put this caveat out there too. I have very small feet. I wear women's size 4, and it is very challenging to find shoes. Now I can also wear a children's size 2. So sometimes I will buy children's shoes, and it's often cheaper that way. So the problem has been though that I don't know what has happened. I know that there's been changes in the world and in manufacturing, and they're not making as many size 4s as they used to. So there's not as many options anymore, which is a real bummer. But, it's good for me doing a no-buy year that I don't really have to worry about it, even though I would love to buy just 1 or 2 pair of sandals just to, for the summer. But I'm not doing it, because the whole point of me doing a no-buy year was to challenge myself to get out of the consumerist cycle. Now, by trade, I'm a fashion designer, so I have to stay up to date with what is on trend. And I have a complicated relationship with shopping and with fashion because of my job and because of my love of fashion. But then the spiritual side of me knows that I am being manipulated by advertisements. And that even includes well-intentioned YouTubers, that the things that they're saying, it is manipulative, because they have a benefit in it, because they're sending you links where they're going to make a commission off of those sales if they can get you to buy those things. And would I do that? I don't know. I mean, I've never had a sponsored video. I've never been approached to do a sponsorship. So I don't know how I would feel. Now, if it was a product that I really believed in, like the Cellar Sizer, I will put a link to that below, because now I am an affiliate with Cellar Sizer. But that's an exercise device. It's a mini trampoline, and I really love it. I took it with me on my trip. That's going to be another video. I'm going to show you what I did when I was on my trip, and I used it almost every single day. And I had committed to myself over a month ago, and I made a video about it, that I was going to use my Cellar Sizer. And guess what? Since I've been back, I think I've only used it once, even though I was using it all the time on my trip. So, I got in a funk. I gotta say, I was in a funk. But the difference is, I feel like when somebody is telling you, okay, here is XYZ products on Amazon, or, even Nordstrom, because you can become, I think, an affiliate for Nordstrom, that this is a pair I'm wearing, and you know, this other style, if you're wearing this style, then you should know that it's out of style and that you should really, you know, upgrade and whatever. And then they're making a financial benefit off of it. I mean, gosh, as nice as these people seem, they got in my head. They did get in my head thinking, oh man, I'm out of style, man. I'm a fashion designer. I should be more current. I should, you know, I work in this industry. It's so dumb, because none of this matters. Because none of it matters. It doesn't matter what you wear. It really doesn't. As long as you feel good and you like your style and you're happy with who you are, you don't need the latest and greatest and whatever. And I'm saying this for me, and you do you. You buy what you want to buy. But I did make an order. I made 2 orders, and I'll explain this. So, first order, and I took some video, I'll put that up here. The first order came with the Athleta Retreat Linen Wide Leg Pant. I'm wearing them right now. I really love these pants. Just for reference, I'm a petite. I'm wearing a 12 petite. And yes, I've put on a few pounds, which is why I'm using my seller size. But either way, I love them. They're so comfortable. They're so... I had missed having a white linen pant. Now today I wore all white, my outfit, when I went out, because I had to run some errands. And I wore these pants, and I wore this linen tank top underneath. And I was like, I felt so chic all in white. Now, I had really poo-pooed and dismissed a minimalist wardrobe. I made a video about that too, where I tried to do a minimalist wardrobe for 30 days. And I was like, oh, I miss color, I miss print. I think the problem was that I did not have enough of the things that I really loved and that made me feel very put together. And I think there was a missing element. It wasn't just the color palette itself, because if you have the things that fit you and that you feel really confident and chic in, you'll want to wear those things over and over. So having these pants now, and my husband saw me put them on, and he was like, ooh, those are nice. Those look like you're going on vacation. I was like, yeah, I wish I would have received these pants before I went on vacation. But I didn't order them until we got back. So there's that. My own fault. But the poll wasn't closed yet. The poll had not closed. I did not have enough votes to make my choice. So I think that these pants came in at 20% of the votes. And so I love them. I'm keeping them. I think they're really chic and comfortable. I love the little vent at the inseam. I think that's really different. And yeah, I'm keeping these pants for sure. Now, something that came in at 40, I think it was 40% of the vote at the time I last looked at the poll, was the Banana Republic Kate Linen Blend long sleeve sweater. It was as I suspected. If you see this footage that I'm gonna put up, you will see, yep, this sucker is sheer. It's sheer. You can see my bra right through it. But I really do love this sweater, and I'm keeping it. It's not one of the things that got returned. I really love the feel of it. One thing I'm concerned about, and we'll have to see how it wears, is because this type of linen has a slubby type texture to it, that it can pill very easily. And I was already noticing like a little ball on it, and I was like, we're gonna have to just see how this wears. And anyways, yeah, so that was the second item that I ordered that I'm keeping. The third item was, I mean, this was a complete disaster. It's the Banana Republic oversized linen shirt. I ordered it in a large petite, simply because I wasn't sure how it was gonna fit across the chest. Now, honestly, even a medium petite would have been the same, it wouldn't have been much difference. It would still have been very huge on me. And I know it's in the name. You don't need to write it in the comments. It's in the name. It's an oversized shirt. but my goodness, how oversized do we need to get? The sleeves were like down to the bottom of my fingertips. It was so unflattering. I love this trend. I really do. I think it's such a cool trend, the oversized shirt. But on me at 4'10" and being very curvy and more curvy right now than I normally am, it just looked so frumpy. And I was afraid of that, but I was like, let me give it a shot. I'm gonna see how it looks on me. But yeah, it looked terrible and it had to be returned. And I took it back today to Banana Republic. Now I have a message for Banana Republic because I have not shopped there in many years. And this is the first time I've ordered online. You gotta get your shit together. Well, first of all, they've removed petites from virtually all of their stores. You can only get them online now. Because I had to go all the way up to the beautiful Gardens Mall in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, to return it in person. And I was looking around, I was like, where's the petite department? There was always a petite department in the back. Yes, they relegated us to the very back corner of the store, but it was still there. There were still petites back there. And so I asked the people working there, and they said, yeah, we don't have a, they've gotten rid of them in pretty much all the stores. You can only order them online now. That is, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Because this is what you get. Now you can't try anything on. You have to order everything, and then you have to end up just returning it all if it doesn't fit. So I don't like that, Banana Republic. Bring back your petites department. Bring it back. So, because I knew I was going to be sending back or taking back that oversized linen shirt, I decided that I would buy the other linen shirt that I was looking at, which was the classic linen shirt. I said, okay, this is not going to be, it's not oversized. Still don't know how it's going to fit across the chest. Let me just go ahead and order a large petite. So I was very happy. I still had enough rewards that I didn't have to pay anything for my own money for it. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me just go ahead and order the other one. And make sure it got here by Friday, because today is Saturday, so that I could film this video. Well, I opened the package, and this is the shirt I was supposed to get. And this is the shirt I got. It was mispackaged at the factory. What they sent me was the Laurel French cuff shirt in white. And I called the customer service, found out looking at the poly bag that the SKU on the poly bag was for the classic linen shirt. However, on the hang tag and obviously the garment, it was this French cuff shirt. So, bad job, factory. Hey, I deal with this all the time. As a designer working with factories and all of that, this happens, but what a screw up. And the person that worked at Banana Republic said, yeah, this isn't the first time this has happened. That's bad, man. Just made me feel so much better about all the trouble that we have at our relatively small active sportswear company with the factories that we deal with, that screw ups happen, and they even happen for big companies like Banana Republic. Either way, that's sort of a side note. I hated this shirt. Obviously, you can see from the footage from my face, I hate this shirt. It's terrible. Look how huge that collar is. I mean, I'm looking at the images online, and they're huge on her too. I don't know what's going on. And, you know, sometimes I don't understand what's happening in fashion. Because it's not flattering. Even to me, looking at this image online on this beautiful model. Oh my God, she's gorgeous. Terrible shirt. Horrible, horrible, horrible shirt. And they couldn't have made it look any frumpier than they've made her look. I'm sorry. It's a true criticism. You know, I know, but you know, if you don't have anything nice to say, you shouldn't say anything at all. But I'm telling you, this is not, I don't know who they have designing for them over at Banana Republic, but the one thing that I commented on in that video when I was trying to decide of the 10 things that I had picked out, and some of them were from Banana Republic, that those collars looked really big. And maybe big collars are back. I don't know. I mean, they must be. but for you to put that collar, that huge ass collar on every one of your shirts is a miss. I'm sorry. You should have different collars. You should have different shapes because everybody is different. Everybody has different body shapes. You need to have different shapes for different bodies and for different preferences too. I mean, why would you put the exact same collar, that hideous huge collar, on everything? Okay, I'm done. I'm not talking. I'm gonna stop now. I'm not saying nice stuff anymore. But listen, if you want to hire me to be your senior designer, I might just consider it, because somebody needs to get in there and do something for you people. And also, you need to help with your petites, because your petites don't fit right. But I'm very happy where I'm at, so I'm not. But listen, call me. We can talk, Banana Republic. I'm a very good designer. Okay. So that's what happened. I ended up returning the 2 white shirts, and I kept the linen pants, and I kept the navy sweater. And I really considered taking that back too, because I was like, this is so sheer. I will have to wear a camisole underneath of it. And, you know, it's a beautiful sweater, but so far I'm deciding to keep it, but I may change my mind in a few days. I don't know. We'll see. So I said I would tell you a little bit about our trip, and this is one of the blessings that has come from doing a no-buy year, that I haven't spent as much money, so we were able to afford to go on a trip. And my husband and I had just realized that we had not taken a true vacation together. I'm not talking about a little 1-night, 2-night getaway, which we've done before. I'm not talking about a road trip for the holidays to see my aunt up in Kentucky, which was actually a part of this trip. We went up to see my aunt in Kentucky. And so we've done that for Thanksgiving or Christmas through the years. But for us to like actually take a week and a half to go on a trip somewhere, go somewhere new that we've never been before, we haven't done that since 2016. It's shocking to me that we have not taken a trip together, a vacation together. I've gone on vacation, you know, I've spent 2 summers in Peru. My husband's not interested in doing that kind of thing, so I went with friends. And I've gone other places, and he's gone other places, but, you know, we've not taken a time together. And, you know, actually half of that trip was going to see my aunt, like I said, in Kentucky, going to see family. And, you know, it takes for us to really unwind, and I think this is like probably the same for a lot of people. It took us, you know, like 4 days to really start to get into like vacation mode. So as nice as those little 1 or 2 night getaways have been, usually they're for, you know, an anniversary or for one of our birthdays. As nice as those things are, we never really relax. There's not enough time for us to get away from our home life and to get away from all, you know, everything that goes into being a human being in this day and age. And we chose to leave Zoe at home. My nephew stayed with her the whole time we were gone. So we just didn't even worry about her. We just like put that out of our minds. And, you know, it took about 4 days. And so we started in Kentucky, and my aunt lives about 15-20 minutes from Lexington, where she's at now. And so we had to take, you know, do a lot of things with her. She's 89 years old, so we had to run a bunch of errands with her for the first few days. But then the last day we were there, we went to and I had been here before, we went to the historic home of Cassius Marcellus Clay. And no, that is not Muhammad Ali. This is a person from history who lived in the 1800s, cousin to Henry Clay, who was a well-known politician in Kentucky at that time. And he was childhood friends of Mary Todd Lincoln and friends with the Lincolns after they were adults. And he's not well known in history, but I'm going to put a link below to a podcast that my husband came across somehow it came over his feed. And this was before we went on our trip, and he was like, oh my gosh, I just was learning about this guy, Cassius Clay, who, man, he was a badass and this and that. And he was telling me all the things that he was hearing on this podcast. I said, yeah, I've been to his home in Kentucky. It's not too far from where my aunt lives. I said, if you want to go there, well, let's do that when we're up there. So we did. We were the only, it was like a Wednesday afternoon, and we were or it was a Wednesday morning when we got there, and we were the only people there, and it was gorgeous. And you know, we had the whole tour guide to ourselves, and you know, we had nice fun banter going back and forth between us and the tour guide, and she told us things and showed us things, I think, that were a little more than what normal people, because she goes, it's so nice to have people that are actually interested. She goes, I usually get these kids that their grandparents are bringing them on this tour and they're bored out of their minds, but we were like, oh no, it was so cool because the information is so cool. So I'll just tell you that this guy was a baller. He never lost a duel, and he was in many duels. He was an abolitionist, well, more an emancipationist. Way before it was popular to be an emancipationist, he even started his own newspaper to push for the abolition of slavery and for the emancipation of the slaves. He pressured Lincoln to sign the Emancipation Proclamation sooner than Lincoln wanted to. But during the Civil War, the American Civil War, he served as the ambassador to Russia. So he was living in Russia during that time, and he struck a deal with the Tsar, Nicholas I. I knew this. I went on the tour. I learned the information. Well, anyways, you can look it up yourself. But anyways, he pressured the Tsar, he says, to make sure that if Britain or France tried to get involved in the American Civil War, that Russia would proclaim war on them. So as a result, they stayed out of it. And it was because of the work that he did as the ambassador to Russia. Although he doesn't get the credit for it, he was also instrumental in acquiring Alaska for the United States. So he does not get the credit for it, but he actually was the person negotiating the deal. Someone else took the credit for it. I think his name is Sewell. Either way, very interesting guy. If you're ever in the Richmond, Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky area, because the house is actually in Richmond, go visit it. It's so much fun. It's so cool to hear all the stories and to learn what an interesting fellow this guy was. So we ended up leaving on Thursday, and we decided we're gonna do some things that we've never done before. We're taking a bit of an American Pie type of tour. So we drove through Nashville, and we stopped for lunch at Nashville. Neither one of us, other than maybe when I was a child, and I don't really remember Nashville at all, we've never been to Nashville before. So not that we spent much time, we just had lunch there, and we went to the Gibson Garage, which is the factory where they make the Gibson guitars, and they have a store there. And so we got to see all the beautiful guitars, and you'll see some of the footage. The guitars are just like on a revolving belt, kind of like if you're at a dry cleaners, and they just go around the whole room like that. And so my husband plays guitar. He kind of quit for many years, but now he's getting back into it. He's restrung all his electric guitars and buying cables, and he's in there practicing. And I don't, well, I mean, my acoustic guitar, you can plug it in, but yeah. So we're both getting into our guitars. So that was a lot of fun going to that Gibson showcase there. And so our destination, though, was Memphis, Tennessee, which we've definitely never been to Memphis, Tennessee. And boy, did Memphis blow my socks off. And it blew my husband's socks off. We didn't really have any expectations. The only thing that we said was, when we go to Kentucky, let's make a detour on our way home and go to Graceland. And that was where it all started from, because we'd never been to Graceland. And my husband, not a big fan of Elvis Presley, never really liked his music, wasn't into the movies or anything about Elvis Presley, kind of didn't get it. Well, here's a little video I took after we went to Graceland. So we're in Memphis on the top of the Peabody Hotel. We went to Graceland today, and my husband Mike, who you haven't met yet. He he gained a new appreciation for Elvis Presley. He was always like, Elvis schmelvis. I don't see what the big deal about Elvis is.
Yep.
And what happened today?
Well, I realized that Elvis was punk and way ahead of his time, and like really changed the entire scene of music and culture in the United States.
That's right.
And I just didn't have any appreciation for that before because I never really well, it's like you have to put yourself back in 1950s, you know, to really appreciate what was happening at the time and what he brought to the table. And I didn't know, you know, because obviously not born in the 50s, but I never like went back and looked at it, never compared the time that he lived and what was happening. And yeah, totally new respect for Elvis, totally new respect for what he did and the culture that he changed and everything.
Let's get closer because there's people behind us. We don't want to film them. So I knew we were like, there was hope after we first went into Graceland and we watched the first intro video that they show you, and it ended and he goes, he was badass.
Total badass. Total badass.
I was like, yeah. So if you've not been to Graceland, oh my goodness, it is a destination. We had the best time. I had more fun than I thought I would have. But, you know, growing up, my family certainly my aunt was a big fan of Elvis, and so was my mom and my dad. And so, you know, I always had Elvis music around me, and, you know, there was always the movies on TV and whatnot. But man, just seeing his life, and after last year also having seen the movie that was made by Baz Luhrmann, it was so neat to go there. It really was a lot of fun. But besides Graceland, Memphis is amazing. I had no idea how incredible Memphis was. We stayed at this old metro station that had been converted to a hotel. It's called the Central Hotel. And we had the best time because you're within walking distance. We did so much walking. We walked to downtown. We walked to like some of the historic little areas down there. And we had such good food. We went to the Peabody Hotel twice. Once we went and just had drinks and hors d'oeuvres in the main lounge, the downstairs lounge area. And then the second time we went to see the sunset. So we went up to the roof, and here's some footage that we took up there and some pictures that we took up there. And we had just so much fun. We had so much good food. There was so much good music. And, you know, then of course there was a lot of history to see because we didn't even know it was there, but we were walking back to our hotel and we see to our left, there was the National Civil Rights Museum. And we kind of looked at it, and it was closed because we only had, this was Thursday evening. We only had a few, you know, we got in at like 5 on Thursday, and then we had Friday, but half the day at Friday was spent at Graceland. So this was Thursday evening when we had gone, let's just go out for a walk and let's, you know, go get a drink and maybe something to eat. And so when we were walking back to our hotel, it was still daylight. It was probably about 8 o'clock at night. And we were looking and we see this. And so we're like, oh, let's go read the plaques and the information. And it was a hotel. And it ended up being the Lorraine Motel, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed. And it just like sort of shocked us. Because it was like we weren't expecting that to be there. So close to our hotel, literally like across the street from our hotel. And we were like, this is here. And, you know, if they've converted it into a museum, they built a museum on, it looks like an addition onto the side. But they still have the old cars there, and they have like a wreath on the railing on the balcony. And, you know, they have like these little stations where they have little monitors where they have video and information like set up along the path there. And we stopped and we read and we watched the videos and whatnot, and it was so moving. And I mean, we both like came to tears just just very moved by the experience and what our country has gone through. And we're going through tough times now, but there's been a lot of tough times. Learning about what happened to, people who were fighting against slavery, and now people who are fighting for civil rights. It was just a tour of American history that was really unexpected for this trip, but very beautiful, very moving, and we had a great time. And then across the street from our hotel is the Arcade restaurant, which is very historic. It's about 100 years old. And so we had the best breakfast there. If you're in Memphis, go to the Arcade. It's fantastic. And then on our way home, we've just decided, well, we've never been to Tallahassee, our capital of Florida. Let's go to Tallahassee and spend the night there. So we ended up getting into Tallahassee pretty late, but it was still early enough that we walked everywhere. After we checked into our hotel, we took a walk and went down to a local little restaurant bar and had some snacks and a couple of drinks and just walked around. And then the next morning we drove by. Everything was closed because it was Memorial Day weekend, but we saw our Capitol, we saw our Supreme Court, and we were like, okay, cool. We know where it is now, what it looks like. Feel very patriotic. So then that morning we drove to Winter Garden, Florida, which is where some of my husband's family has moved to over the past couple of years. And we stayed at another historic hotel called the Edgewater Hotel, bed and breakfast style hotel. And that was super cool. Now, they were fully booked. It was Memorial Day weekend. And my friend, my husband's cousin, said, listen, if you can get into the Edgewater, that's where you should stay. So they're a small hotel. They're historic too. They were built 100 years ago. And I was like, cool. So I called them Friday night. I knew we were going to be there Sunday night. Sorry, we're fully booked. And I was like, oh, okay. So you're thinking, all right, well, we're either going to have to stay at another hotel somewhere outside of that area, because there really aren't any hotels in Winter Garden other than that one. But you're close to Orlando and some other towns. So anyways, I was just like, no, I have a room there. I have a room there. I know I have a room. So I called the next night and I said, hey, I'm just calling to see if you've had any cancellations, if you have any openings. No, we're fully booked for the weekend. And I said, I'm thinking in my head, no, I have a room there. I was like, I know I have a room there. So I said to the girl, I was like, well, can I get on a wait list? Do you have a wait list in case somebody cancels? And she was like, okay, sure. I'll write your name down. The next morning, I'm getting ready. We're packing. We're getting ready to head out from Tallahassee. And my phone rings. And it's an Orlando area code. And I was like, that's my room. And sure enough, it was the hotel. It said, hey, we just had a cancellation. Do you want to stay with us? And I said, yes, absolutely. So we got this really cute room, and it was so like antique and old, and like an old bed and breakfast. And they still have a working Otis elevator, which, you can only be operated with an operator, so somebody that works there. So we took the stairs. It was only the second floor the whole time, but she took us up on the first trip. She took us up on this old-timey Otis elevator. It is so cool. And we had, a lovely time there. We had the best room too. We had like a corner room that had a view of the little downtown square with, I don't know if you've ever been to Winter Garden. If you go to Orlando, you should make a little detour to go to Winter Garden, because it's only about 20 to 30 minutes away. And it's got such a cute little downtown with lots of shops and little restaurants, and they're all very good. I've eaten at several of the restaurants there, and they're very good. So yeah, Winter Garden was also a hit. And we got to visit with my husband's family, and then we came home the next day, which was Memorial Day. That was the end of our trip. But I tell you, when we were driving home on Monday, we were both like really just getting into this being on vacation mode. And my husband was like, I really wish that we had a few more days, because this has been really nice. And it was like we got a chance to connect, and you know, you really need that when you've been married. I've been married for 29 years and you need that time with your husband. And anyways, this video has gone on very long. I didn't mean it to be so long, and I thought about breaking it up into a couple of parts to talk about our trip and to talk about how I'm doing, but it is what it is, and I'm just putting it all out there into one video. And maybe I'll regret it because I won't have content for another video, but hey, it is what it is. But I thank you for watching, and I really appreciate the support that I've been given by you guys. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and follow my journey for the rest of this year, doing a no-buy year. And in July, I'll be doing a second quarter State of the Union and let you know how my spending has gone. Hopefully the numbers are going to be better than they were for the first quarter, but either way. So if you liked it, give it a like. I really appreciate that. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate all of you, and have a great rest of your week.